Welcome to this explainer. Today we're totally unpacking an internet myth that honestly sounds like pure horror, but actually hides an incredibly fast-paced historical true crime thriller. It's a wild ride.
Okay, let's dive right into this. You might have seen this crazy claim floating around online, right? The big question, was a US president secretly a grave robber?
The internet absolutely loves claiming that presidents were out digging up graves in the dead of night. But the historical reality? It's so much stranger. Highly organized 19th century body snatching networks were actually targeting them. So let's establish the absolute truth right out of the gate here. There is literally zero verified evidence that any US president ever worked as a grave robber. None. But, wait for it, the reality is actually crazier. They were the high-profile victims. Part 1, the presidential heists. Picture this. It's 1876. A counterfeiting gang hatches this absolutely insane plot to steal Abraham Lincoln's corpse. Yes, really. They literally breach the tomb, open the sarcophagus, and start pulling the coffin out until, out of nowhere, a Secret Service informant completely blows their cover. And their demands? You can't make this up. They wanted a massive cash ransom and the secure release of their imprisoned master engraver, Benjamin Boyd. They literally tried holding Lincoln's remains hostage to free their buddy. So, thankfully, Lincoln's body was saved. But the true origin of our internet myth actually stems from a different event 2 years later, and it's gruesome. We're talking about the horrific 1878 Harrison family scandal. This involves John Scott Harrison. Now, he was the son of President William Henry Harrison, and he was the father of President Benjamin Harrison. We are talking about an elite, top-tier political dynasty here. But as you'll see, absolutely no one was safe. Right after he died, his grave was robbed. His family frantically searched everywhere for his body, and they found him, hanging in a medical college anatomy chute. Just horrific.
Part 2, the business of body snatching.
Enter the resurrectionists. These were 18th and 19th century criminals whose whole business was stealing corpses from cemeteries specifically to sell to medical schools. Because back then, doctors desperately needed human bodies for surgical training, and legal options were, well, basically non-existent. So the crucial point is, thousands. This wasn't just some isolated crime here or there. Historians estimate that thousands of bodies were being stolen every single year across America and Europe. It was a massive, incredibly lucrative underground industry. And the heist itself? Terrifyingly efficient. They dig down just at the top third of the coffin, smash the lid, yank the corpse right out with ropes or hooks. Then they'd refill the grave. Boom, all done silently, right in the dead of night. Now, here is a wild legal loophole for you. Back then, a human corpse was not legally considered property, but jewelry was. So, these robbers intentionally left all the valuables behind to avoid serious theft charges. They'd take the body, leave the rings. Crazy, right? Part 3, the real victims. You see, vulnerability to this kind of robbery was almost entirely based on class inequality. Wealthy elites could easily afford heavy tombs and armed night guards, so their risk was super low. But the poor and marginalized, they faced an incredibly high risk. In fact, modern historians and bioethicists highlight a really grim reality. Black cemeteries were heavily, disproportionately targeted by resurrectionists. It is a very dark chapter of racial and class exploitation built right into the foundation of early medical education. And this brilliantly illustrates a massive moral crisis of the time. Society absolutely demanded these highly trained surgeons, right? But at the exact same time, the public completely rejected human dissection. The result of that contradiction? A black market boom. Eventually, high-profile scandals, especially that shocking Harrison case we talked about, they became the tipping point. The overwhelming public outrage finally forced a permanent change in the system. Part 4, from outrage to medical ethics. All of that public outrage, it directly forced the creation of the stronger legal protections that we rely on today. We're talking stronger burial protections, proper legal cadaver donation systems, and incredibly strict consent laws. Because of that, modern anatomy today is entirely driven by ethical sourcing. Medical schools now hold beautiful ceremonies to respect and honor those who donate their bodies, strongly emphasizing human dignity. It's a complete 180 from that brutal black market. So, bringing it all together, we can really see how real, highly traumatic historical events slowly got twisted by sensational storytelling. And that's exactly what created this bizarre president grave robber internet myth we see today. But I want to leave you with a final, kind of chilling thought. Since early anatomy was literally built on the backs of this underground trade, every time you benefit from modern medical science, are you actually benefiting from the dark legacy of the resurrectionists? Something to think about. Thanks for exploring this explainer with